Hey guys, my name is Sam from Verse.com. Welcome to another camera comparison. This time between the Apple iPhone 13 and the Google Pixel 6. Let's dive right into the video comparison. Let the facts speak. Starting off with the video comparison. Both cameras are set to 4K 30 frames per second. The quality difference between them is quite obvious while using the ultrawide lens. The iPhone is a lot sharper and has a higher contrast when compared to the Pixel. Pixel's results are pretty average, but perhaps they will be able to solve this problem with a future software update. Things get a lot better on Google's side when moving to the wide lens, but Apple still has the upper hand in terms of sharpness, detail, contrast and overall color management. The maximum zoom wasn't convincing for either phone, which is 3 times for the iPhone and 7 times for the Pixel. Google's result is blurry and grainy, and Apple's is not that different. You could actually think that this is an oil painting. Speaking of Casper, let's see him run a bit to test the stabilization feature. There is no contest, and the Google Pixel 6 is a clear winner here. It is much more stable than the Apple iPhone 13. As you might already know, you are not able to adjust the video stabilization in the iPhone. Google, on the other hand, goes the extra mile and gives you an active stabilization mode for rapid and heavy movement on top of its standard stabilization option. Neither phone has a dedicated macro camera, so it is no surprise that the results are similar in this category. The biggest difference here is the higher contrast on the iPhone, which leads to a bit more detail. In terms of the autofocus, both the iPhone and the Pixel do an excellent job and leave a good impression with regard to speed and reliability. We couldn't find huge differences in our test. But if you find something in your own test or have a different opinion, feel free to leave a comment below and we will make sure to get back to you. Lastly, if you like to freeze the motion, both phones have got you covered, as they are capable of recording 240 frames per second in 1080p. A very important part of videography on a smartphone is the front camera video recording and the audio quality. So this is actually the video and audio quality of the Google Pixel 6. And this is the front and audio quality of the iPhone 13. And now let's switch to photography. We start off with one of the most complicated aspects of smartphone photography, the portrait feature. As you can already see in the first picture, both phones have their separate issues. The iPhone recognizes the branch of the tree as part of the hair, and the Pixel has a lot of edge blurring around the top part of the jacket. Other than that, the Google Pixel 6 is a lot sharper and more detailed than the Apple iPhone 13, which has way more contrast. In the second example, both phones have their own problems with this backlight shot. The Pixel tries to somehow compensate for the light irritation, which makes the jacket look very grainy, while the iPhone shows the sun reflection in the lens. From the portrait perspective, the iPhone definitely does a better job here, only having one small error close to the cheeks. The Pixel, on the other hand, blurs out the right ear, has problems around the hair and the left wrist. The next image actually looks very good on both phones, at least when purely focusing on how the person comes across. Sadly, Google software has a ton of issues again around the leaves, in the background and around the hair, while the iPhone's errors around the hair are only noticeable if you are picky. And in the last example, the iPhone suddenly sharpens one part of the background, while the rest is correctly blurred out. The Pixel also has issues with the leaves, as well as some problems on the left side of the head and the hood. We would say that neither phone is perfect when taking these details into consideration, but you can definitely notice some quality differences that favor Apple. Now let's see how the front cameras are doing in portrait mode. The weather was actually sunny for a change, and we think that the iPhone captured the unique atmosphere a little bit better. Overall, both pictures are very solid and have no visible issues. In the second sample, however, the Pixel does not blur out the window correctly and has issues separating the hair and the background. Besides those two specific details, we'd say that both cameras did a good job. Alright, let's check out the different cameras of the rear camera setup now. At first, the only noticeable difference is the unique color management that both phones have. When magnifying a part of the image, we noticed that the Pixel is actually a little bit sharper than the iPhone. In the video section it was the other way around. Same goes for the wide camera, where both pictures look great, but the Pixel once again managed to produce a sharper image. When we go a bit closer, this is what the pictures look like zoomed in at 3 times. As you can see once more, the difference only becomes noticeable after magnifying the image. The Mercedes star is sharper on the Pixel side, while the antenna is almost not recognizable on the iPhone. When switching to max zoom, which is 5 times on the iPhone and 7 times on the Pixel, the quality suffers a lot. This of course is not surprising, since neither phone's camera is designed for zoomed in pictures. As mentioned before, there's not a ton going on in terms of macro photography, since both don't have that dedicated macro camera. But the iPhone is definitely a bit sharper and richer in contrast, which leads to better visual detail. Before we make the transition to nighttime conditions, we have some more samples for you to give a better overview of the capabilities of the 2 camera systems. Every manufacturer has its own unique color management, and that's definitely a positive. But in this case it was actually a sunny day, and the Pixel's photos somehow make it seem like it's grey and dark outside. The iPhone's photos are definitely better when the 2 are compared. While the Pixel's photos are also good quality, they are not as natural and colorful as the iPhone's. Lastly, we have some photos of me at night. It is of course uncommon for mobile phones to produce top-notch photos at night, so the quality of both cameras actually looks decent when compared to the mainstream phones. The Apple iPhone 13's photo is a bit brighter with less detail, and the Google Pixel 6's photo has a greenish tint to it, but with more detail in general. We prefer to leave the choice up to the preferences of the user. A picture of the city yields pretty good results for both phones, with the Pixel producing a slightly sharper and more detailed image. In our eyes, both photos look fine, as much can't be expected in these lighting conditions. The video quality is nothing special, and there are visible pixelations and a loss of quality. The Pixel 6 has the green tint as usual, but is slightly sharper and more detailed. The iPhone on the other hand sticks out again with its natural colors. In conclusion, both phones have pretty good cameras that will not have issues in everyday use. The Apple iPhone 13 deserves more praise for its experienced and high quality software, while the Google Pixel 6 has some issues that Google needs to iron out when it comes to color management and the separation of the foreground and the background. However, the image stabilization on the Pixel definitely trumps the one on the iPhone, which may make it more attractive to users who are interested in filming on the go. What do you guys think? Leave a comment for us below, and if you enjoyed this review, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel. Take care and see you soon.